I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're standing in a room you've known your entire life. The silk curtains your mother chose. The Persian rug you played on as a child. The Quran on the mahogany shelf, bound in leather so fine it cost more than most people make in a year. Now imagine watching it all burn. That's where my story reaches its peak, but that's not where it begins. Let me take you back. Back to before the flames. Before the screaming. Before the night my father's hand wrapped around my throat and he whispered, "You will renounce this Jesus, or I will kill you myself. My name doesn't matter anymore. The girl I was died the night Jesus found me. But the girl I was, she had everything. I grew up in a mansion that smelled like oud and jasmine. Every morning, I woke up to sunlight filtering through gold-threaded curtains, painting patterns on marble floors so polished I could see my reflection. My abaya collection filled an entire room, silks from Dubai, embroidered fabrics from Turkey, each one worth thousands. My father owned half the businesses in our city. My mother wore diamonds that caught the light like trapped stars. We were royalty without the title. But here's what nobody tells you about golden cages. The bars are still bars, even when they're made of gold. I was 17 when I first felt it, that drowning sensation. You know that feeling when you're underwater, and you're looking up at the surface, and the light is right there, but your lungs are screaming and your arms won't work and you're sinking, sinking, sinking? That was every single day of my life. I performed my prayers 5 times a day. Prostrated on my prayer rug with my forehead touching the ground, reciting words in Arabic I'd memorized before I could read. Allahu Akbar. God is great. But when I lifted my head, I felt nothing. Just the cold marble pressing into my knees. Just the sound of my own breathing. I fasted during Ramadan until my stomach cramped and my head pounded. I read the Quran with my mother, her finger tracing the Arabic script while she explained the rules. So many rules. Don't do this. Don't touch that. Don't speak to him. Don't look at her. Don't question. I grabbed my prayer beads. Prayed the names of Allah. All 99 of them. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Quddus. On and on until my tongue was numb and my eyes burned. Nothing. I was drowning. And my God couldn't hear me. The wedding was set for 3 months away. 90 days until my life ended. 90 days until I became the property of a man who looked at me like I was meat. I didn't know it then, but those 90 days would change everything. Because in my desperation, in my drowning, I was about to reach for something forbidden. And the hand that reached back? It wasn't the one I expected. Rashid came to our house 3 days later. I was told to serve tea. My mother dressed me like a doll that morning, a dove-gray abaya with intricate silver embroidery at the cuffs, a silk hijab pinned so tight it gave me a headache. She lined my eyes with kohl, dabbed rose oil on my wrists. Smile, she whispered as she adjusted my hijab one final time. Her hands were shaking. Just smile and be quiet. This is your destiny. Destiny. That word tasted like poison on my tongue. I walked down the stairs carrying the tea tray, my hands trembling so badly the cups rattled against the silver. The sound echoed through our vast living room, that room where we entertained guests, with its vaulted ceilings and crystal chandelier that cost more than a car. Rashid was sitting on the white leather sofa across from my father. Both of them stood when I entered. Let me tell you what Rashid looked like, because I need you to understand. I need you to see what I saw. He was tall, well dressed in a pristine white thobe and expensive sandals. His beard was dyed jet black, obviously, because gray roots showed at the edges. Gold rings on 3 fingers. A Rolex that caught the light. He smelled like expensive cologne mixed with something else. Something stale. Like meat left out too long. But it was his smile that made my stomach turn. It didn't reach his eyes. His eyes were calculating. Predatory. They moved up and down my body despite my modest clothing, lingering on places that made me want to tear off my own skin. Mashallah, he said, his voice smooth like oil. Your daughter is beautiful, Abdulaziz. You have raised her well. My father beamed. Actually beamed. Like he was selling a prize horse. She is obedient. Pure. She prays 5 times daily and has memorized 12 surahs of the Quran. They were talking about me like I wasn't standing right there. Like I was furniture. A transaction. Come, child, Rashid gestured to the space beside him on the sofa. Sit with me. Every instinct in my body screamed to run. But my father's eyes locked onto mine. A warning. A threat. I sat down, keeping as much distance as possible between us. It wasn't enough. Rashid's hand found my knee under the fabric of my abaya. I froze. Every muscle in my body turned to stone. His fingers squeezed. Not hard enough to hurt. Just hard enough to stake his claim. To remind me that in 3 months, he would own every inch of me. She seems nervous, he chuckled, finally removing his hand. That's good. Modesty is beautiful in a woman. My father laughed. Actually laughed. I wanted to scream. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to grab that scalding tea and throw it in both their faces. Instead, I smiled. A small, dead smile that didn't reach my eyes either. Tell me, dear, Rashid leaned closer. His breath smelled like cardamom and cigarettes. Are you excited to be my wife? To serve me as Allah commands? The words stuck in my throat like broken glass. Answer him, my father's voice cut through the air. Sharp. Dangerous. Yes, I whispered. The lie burned coming out. I am honored. Good girl. Rashid patted my hand like I was a child. I will teach you everything you need to know about pleasing a husband. My previous wives were disobedient, rebellious. But you, I can see you will be different. You will learn quickly. His previous wives. One divorced. One dead. I thought about that dead wife in that moment. Did she start out sitting on this same type of sofa? Wearing a forced smile. Feeling a strange man's hand on her knee? What happened to her? What would happen to me? After an hour that felt like a lifetime, Rashid finally left. My father walked him to the door, their voices low and conspiratorial, discussing my bride price, like they were negotiating the cost of a car. The moment the door closed, I ran. I ran up the stairs to my room and locked the door. My whole body was shaking. I scrubbed my knee where he'd touched me, scrubbed until the skin turned red, but I could still feel it. that claiming, that ownership. I sank to the floor of my bathroom, Italian marble, gold fixtures, all of it cold and empty and suffocating, and I sobbed. Allah, please, I begged through my tears. Please don't make me do this. I'll do anything. I'll be perfect. I'll never complain again. Just please, please don't give me to him. But even as I prayed, I knew the truth that had been growing in my heart like a tumor. He wasn't listening. He had never been listening. That night at dinner, my father made the announcement to the whole family. We were gathered around the dining table, my father at the head, my mother to his right, me and my 3 siblings arranged by age. The table was laden with food, mansaf, fresh bread, dates, honeyed pastries. A feast. Like this was something to celebrate. Your sister is getting married, my father announced, looking at my younger brother Khalid and my sisters Amina and little Fatima. In 3 months, she will bring honor to this family by marrying Rashid Al-Hamdi. Amina's fork clattered to her plate. She stared at me with wide, horrified eyes. Khalid, only 15, looked confused. But Baba, isn't he old enough to be wise? My father interrupted, his voice like iron. Rich enough to provide well. Devout enough to guide her properly. That is all that matters. My mother said nothing. Just pushed food around her plate with shaking hands. I don't want to, I heard myself say. The words came out before I could stop them. Small. Weak. But they came out. The room went silent. My father's head turned toward me slowly. So slowly. His eyes had that empty look again. That dead, calculating look. What did you say? My heart hammered against my ribs. Baba, I'm only 17. I want to study. I want to. You want. His voice rose. You want. Since when does what you want matter? He stood up. His chair scraped against the floor with a sound like grinding bones. You are my daughter. You will do as I say. You will marry who I choose. You will be grateful for the honor. Do you understand me? I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Do you understand me? He slammed both hands on the table. Dishes jumped. Wine glasses toppled, red liquid spreading across the white tablecloth like blood. Yes, Baba, I whispered. Louder. Yes, Baba. Tears streamed down my face. Good. He sat back down, straightening his thobe like nothing had happened. This discussion is over. You will marry Rashid. You will be obedient. And if I hear one more word of complaint. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. That night, I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling. My room was beautiful. Everything a girl could want. Silk sheets. Designer clothes in walk-in closets. A balcony overlooking the city. A beautiful prison. I thought about Rashid's hand on my knee. My father's dead eyes. My mother's silence. The next 60 years of my life stretching ahead like a death sentence. And that's when I felt it again. That drowning sensation. Water closing over my head. lungs screaming. No air. No light. Just darkness pulling me down, down, down. If you're watching this and you've never felt truly powerless, I need you to understand something. This wasn't just about a marriage I didn't want. This was about realizing that my entire life, every breath, every step, every single moment, belonged to someone else. I was property. Merchandise. A thing to be sold to the highest bidder. And my God, the one I'd worshipped my entire life, had nothing to say about it. But something else did. Something I didn't expect. Something forbidden. The days after that dinner blurred together like watercolors running in the rain. I became obsessed with prayer. Desperate. Frantic. Every night after my family slept, I would slip out of bed and spread my prayer rug in the darkness. I prayed until my knees ached and bruised. I prostrated until my forehead burned. I recited every dua I'd ever memorized, begging, pleading, bargaining with Allah. Please. I'll wear niqab for the rest of my life. I'll never watch TV again. I'll memorize the entire Quran. I'll give all my jewelry to the poor. Just please, please, change my father's heart. Stop this marriage. Nothing. Just the sound of my own voice echoing in the darkness. Just the cold marble under my forehead. Just emptiness. I fasted outside of Ramadan. Mondays and Thursdays, like the Prophet did. My stomach cramped and my head pounded, but I thought maybe if I proved my devotion, maybe if I showed Allah how serious I was, He would finally hear me. My mother found me on the bathroom floor one Thursday afternoon. I'd been fasting for 3 days straight. The room was spinning, black spots dancing in my vision. What are you doing? She knelt beside me, her face tight with worry and something else. Fear, maybe. Praying, I whispered. Asking Allah to help me. Her eyes filled with tears. For a moment, just one brief, shining moment, I thought she was going to help me. I thought she was going to be my mother. Protect me. Stand up for me. Instead, she said, this is your qadr. Your destiny. You must accept it. What if it's wrong? The words tumbled out before I could stop them. What if Allah doesn't want this for me? Her hand connected with my cheek. Sharp. Stinging. I'd never been hit before. Not once in my entire privileged life. Never speak like that again, she hissed, her voice low and urgent. Do you want to bring shame on this family? Do you want your father to? She stopped. Swallowed hard. Just accept it. Obey. It's easier that way. Easier for who? I wanted to scream. But I just nodded, my cheek burning where her hand had landed. She left me there on the cold bathroom floor. That night, I tried something different. I'd heard the older women talk about it, tahajjud, the night prayer. They said it was the time when Allah was closest, when prayers were most likely to be answered. The last third of the night, when the world was silent and heaven was listening. I set my alarm for 3 a.m. When it buzzed, I dragged myself from bed, performed wudu with water so cold it made my hands ache, and prayed like my life depended on it. Because it did. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, I sobbed into my prostration. You who are most merciful, most compassionate, Where is your mercy for me? Where is your compassion? I'm drowning. I'm dying. Please. Please see me. Please hear me. Have you ever poured your entire soul into a prayer? Have you ever begged with every molecule of your being, believing, truly believing, that someone was listening? And then felt nothing back? That's a special kind of death. A death of hope. I did this for weeks. Every night. 3 a.m. Begging. Crying. Prostrating until I couldn't feel my legs. The silence was deafening. My sister Amina started sleeping in my room. She was 14, still innocent enough to believe that love and justice existed in our world. She would hold my hand in the darkness after I finished praying. Maybe Allah has a plan, she whispered one night. Maybe there's a reason. What reason? I turned to face her in the darkness. What reason could there possibly be for giving me to that monster? Don't say that, she squeezed my hand. Rashid is a respected man. A good Muslim. Maybe you'll learn to love him? I laughed, and it came out broken. Amina, his last wife died. And nobody talks about it. Nobody questions it. Do you know what that means? She went quiet. We both knew what it meant. After she fell asleep, I lay there staring at the ceiling, and for the first time in my life, I let myself think the unthinkable. What if Allah wasn't there? What if I'd been praying to emptiness my entire life? What if all of it, the prayers, the fasting, the rules, the rituals, what if it was all just nothing? The thought terrified me more than Rashid, more than my father's anger, more than death itself. Because if there was no Allah, then there was no hope, no rescue, no meaning. Just this life, this cage, this slow suffocation until I stopped breathing. I started watching my mother more carefully after that. Really watching her. I saw how she flinched when my father raised his voice. How she served him food with trembling hands. How she prayed 5 times a day with perfect posture and perfect recitation, and how her eyes were always empty. She was me in 25 years. A ghost in an expensive abaya. Is this all there is? I thought. Is this what being a faithful Muslim woman means? Obedience until you disappear? One Friday after Jummah prayer, I approached the Imam's wife. She was an older woman, known for her piety and wisdom. Women came to her with questions about fiqh, about marriage, about faith. I waited until we were alone in the women's prayer section, surrounded by discarded hijabs and the lingering smell of rose water and perfume. "Auntie," I said quietly, "can I ask you something?" She smiled warmly. "Of course, dear. What do you do when you pray and pray, but Allah doesn't answer?" Her smile faltered slightly. "Allah always answers, child. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no, sometimes it's wait. But what if the answer is something that will destroy you?" My voice cracked. What if you're asking to be saved, and the answer is silence? She looked uncomfortable now. Glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "You must have patience. Sabr. Trust in Allah's wisdom. He knows what's best for you, even when you don't understand. Even if it kills me? Martyrdom is an honor. I don't want to be a martyr. The words burst out louder than I intended. I just want to live. I just want someone to hear me. She stood up, gathering her face closed off now. Disapproving. You should speak to your father about these doubts. Perhaps you need more religious education. More discipline. More discipline. More rules. More chains. She left me there alone in the prayer hall. I looked at the Arabic calligraphy on the walls. Beautiful verses from the Quran about Allah's mercy, His love, His care for His servants. They were just words. Beautiful, empty words on a wall. I walked home that day feeling something new. Something dangerous. Anger. Not at my father, not at Rashid, not even at my mother. At Allah. If He was real, He was letting this happen. Watching me drown and doing nothing. What kind of God does that? What kind of mercy is that? If He wasn't real, then what had I been worshipping my entire life? That night, I didn't pray tahajjud. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, and I felt something inside me crack. Like ice breaking. Like a dam starting to fail. If you're there, I whispered into the darkness, if you're real, if you care at all, prove it. Show me something. Anything. Because I can't do this anymore. I can't keep praying to silence. I can't keep drowning. Nothing. Just the hum of the air conditioning. Just the distant sound of traffic. Just the deafening, crushing, absolute silence of a God who wasn't there,
the illumination
or
of the
didn't
dragon
care.
served as both mythological
68
knowledge
days
preservation
until the
and
wedding.
an allegorical teaching tool.
68 days until I belonged to Rashid. 68 days until whatever was left of me disappeared forever. I got out of bed and walked to my window, looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, people were happy, free, living lives that belonged to them. I pressed my forehead against the glass, cool and solid, and I thought about what it would be like to fall. To just let go. To stop fighting. To stop drowning. To sink. But something in me, some stubborn, angry spark, refused to give up. Not yet. If Allah wouldn't save me, maybe I could save myself. I just had no idea how. That answer would come from the most unexpected, most forbidden place imaginable. And it would change everything. My cousin Layla was the rebel of the family. She lived in London, studying medicine at university. Every few months she'd video call my mother, and I'd catch glimpses of her life through the screen. No hijab, wearing jeans, laughing with friends who were boys and girls mixed together. My father called her corrupted by the West. My mother prayed for her soul every night. I envied her more than I could express. 63 days before my wedding, Layla sent me a message on WhatsApp. We rarely talked. My father monitored my phone, checked my messages, controlled who I could speak to. But she managed to slip through. I heard about your engagement. I'm so sorry. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. I stared at those words for a long time. Then, in a moment of desperate boldness, I typed back. How did you escape? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. I found something that showed me I was worth more than they said I was. I'll send you a link. Delete it after you read it. Be careful. The link came through. My hands shook as I clicked it. It was a website. A testimony. A video of a woman, Middle Eastern, maybe Pakistani, telling her story of leaving Islam. My heart stopped. This was haram. Forbidden. The kind of thing that could get me killed if my father found out. I should have deleted it immediately. Instead, I grabbed my earbuds, turned my volume down low, locked my bedroom door, and pressed play. The woman spoke about feeling empty. About praying and fasting and following all the rules, but never feeling peace. Never feeling loved. Never feeling like she was more than property. She could have been reading my diary. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. I asked Allah to show me the truth, whatever it was. And He led me to Jesus. Jesus. Isa. The prophet we acknowledged but never really talked about. I knew the Quran mentioned him, born of a virgin, performed miracles, ascended to heaven. But he was just a prophet. Nothing more. Right? The woman continued. She talked about reading the Injil, the Gospel, and discovering that Jesus claimed to be more than a prophet. That he called himself the Son of God. That he died on a cross for sins, our sins, and rose from the dead. Shirk. This was shirk. Associating partners with Allah. The unforgivable sin. I should have stopped watching. But I couldn't. Because when she talked about Jesus, her face, it glowed. She had something in her eyes that I'd never seen in the eyes of anyone at the mosque. Not the imam. Not the older women. Not my father with his perfect prayers and his dead stare. She had life. Joy. Freedom. Something I'd been drowning without my entire existence. I watched the whole video. Then I watched it again. Then I spent the next 3 hours falling down a rabbit hole of testimonies, ex-Muslims who found Jesus. People from Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, Egypt, Malaysia. All telling similar stories. Emptiness in Islam. Encounter with Jesus. Transformation. Persecution. But somehow, peace. Even in suffering, they had peace. I wanted that. God, I wanted that so badly I could taste it. But the fear was suffocating. If my father found out I was even watching this content, I didn't want to think about what he'd do. Honor killings weren't just stories in our community. They happened. Everyone knew families who'd lost a daughter or sister who'd brought shame. I deleted my browser history 3 times. Cleared my cache. Used a VPN Layla had told me about. My hands shook the entire time. That night, I couldn't sleep. Questions burned in my mind like acid. What if Jesus was real? What if the Quran was wrong about him? What if everything I'd been taught my entire life was incomplete? Or worse, false? No, I couldn't think like that. That was Shaitan whispering doubts. That was my own weakness, my desperation making me vulnerable to lies. But what if it wasn't? For the next week, I lived a double life. During the day, I was the perfect Muslim daughter. I prayed 5 times. I wore my hijab. I attended Quran study with my mother. I smiled and nodded when relatives came to congratulate me on my engagement, bringing gifts, discussing wedding plans. At night, I became someone else. I would wait until everyone was asleep, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I'd lock myself in my bathroom with my phone. I'd sit on the cold tile floor with a towel stuffed under the door so no light would show, and I'd read. I found a website where I could read the Injil in Arabic, the Gospel of John. That's where I started. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. My first thought, this is blasphemy. My second thought, but what if it's true? I kept reading. And with every verse, something inside me, something I didn't even know was sleeping, started to wake up. Jesus said things I'd never heard any prophet say. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I and the Father are one. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That last one broke something in me. Rest. When was the last time I'd felt rest? Peace? I'd been performing, striving, earning, begging for approval from a God who never seemed satisfied. Never seemed to even notice. But Jesus was saying, come. Just come. You're weary? You're burdened? Come to me. Not pray 5 times a day first. Not fast for 30 days first. Not cover yourself completely first. Not obey your father first. Just come. I wept on that bathroom floor, my phone screen blurring through my tears. But I was terrified. Because wanting something doesn't make it true. And if I was wrong, if this was all lies, all deception, I would lose everything and end up in Jahannam, hell, forever. I needed proof. Something more than just feelings. Something concrete. So I did something crazy. Something that even now makes my heart race to remember. I prayed. But not to Allah. I prayed to Jesus. Isa, I whispered in Arabic, my voice barely audible even to myself. If you're real, if you're more than just a prophet, if you're really the Son of God like those people say, I need you to show me. I need proof. Because I can't do this on feelings alone. I can't risk Jahannam if I'm wrong. But I also can't keep living like this. I'm drowning. And if you're real, if you can really hear me, please. Please answer me. My whole body trembled. Part of me expected lightning to strike. Fire from heaven. Immediate punishment for this betrayal. Instead, silence. Disappointment crashed over me. Of course nothing happened. Because Jesus was just a prophet, not God. This was all fantasy, desperation making me vulnerable to shirk. I deleted the gospel app from my phone. Cleared everything. Went to bed feeling more hopeless than ever.
The light shines in the darkness,
That was the
and
night
the darkness
I had
has
the
not
dream.
overcome it.
I was
Let us
drowning,
therefore walk as
actually
children of the
drowning
light.
in dark water. Cold. So cold it burned. I couldn't see the surface. Couldn't tell which way was up. My lungs were screaming. Water filled my mouth, my nose. I was dying. Then a hand reached into the water. A hand with scars. I grabbed it without thinking, and it pulled me up through the darkness until I broke through the surface, gasping. choking, alive. I found myself on a shore I didn't recognize. White sand, clear sky, and standing in front of me, a man. He was wearing simple clothes, a white robe, maybe. I couldn't quite focus on the details because his face was like looking at the sun. Not painful, but so bright, so full of light that everything else seemed dim and embarrassing. But his eyes, oh God, his eyes. They were kind, not empty like my father's, not calculating like Rashid's, not disappointed like my mother's. They were full of love. A love so intense, so complete, so unconditional that I felt it physically, like warmth spreading through my chest, melting ice I didn't know was there. "You called me," he said. His voice was gentle, deep, like hearing home for the first time. "Who are you?" I whispered, even though I already knew. "I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life." He smiled, and that smile contained more joy than I'd experienced in my entire 17 years. "And I have heard every prayer you've ever prayed, every tear you've shed. I have been with you in your drowning, waiting for you to reach for my hand." Jesus? The name felt foreign on my tongue. Dangerous. Holy. Yes. But you're just a prophet. You're not. You can't be. "I am," he said, and those two words carried weight that shook the ground beneath me. Before Abraham was, I am. I created the stars you see at night. I formed you in your mother's womb. I know every hair on your head. And I love you with an everlasting love. I collapsed. Just fell to my knees in the sand, sobbing. "No one has ever loved me," I choked out. "I'm just property. Just merchandise." "You are my beloved daughter," he interrupted gently, kneeling beside me. "You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are precious in my sight. And I did not create you to be property. I created you to be free. But my Father, I know. And I am going to save you." "How?" "The wedding is in 60 days. There's no way out. I'm trapped." He took my hands in his. The scars on his wrists. I could see them clearly now. Holes. Like something had been driven through them. "These scars," he said softly, "I received these for you. For your freedom. Nothing, not your father, not Rashid, not tradition, not hell itself, can snatch you from my hands once you are mine. Do you trust me? Did I? Could I?" This went against everything. My family. My community. My entire identity. If I said yes to him, I would lose everything. But looking into his eyes, I realized something. I'd already lost everything. I was already drowning. Already dying. He was offering me air. Life. Freedom. What did I have to lose except my chains? "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I trust you." He smiled again, and the whole dream lit up like dawn. "Then watch what I will do," he said. "Watch and believe." I woke up gasping, tears streaming down my face, my heart pounding like it was trying to escape my chest. It was 4:47 a.m. The house was silent. Through my window, I could see the first hints of dawn staining the sky pink. And I knew, with a certainty that defied logic, defied reason, defied everything I'd been taught, that Jesus was real. Not just a prophet. God. And he had heard me. I need you to understand something before I continue. What happened next wasn't wishful thinking. It wasn't a psychological break. It wasn't my mind playing tricks on me because I was desperate. It was real. More real than anything I'd ever experienced in my entire life. For 3 days after that dream, I walked around in a daze. I couldn't eat. Couldn't focus. Couldn't stop replaying every second of it in my mind. His face. His voice. His hands with those scars. I kept touching my own hands, remembering how his felt, solid, warm, real. But doubt crept in during daylight hours. Maybe it was just a dream. Just my subconscious creating what I desperately wanted to see. Maybe I was losing my mind. On the third night, I couldn't take it anymore. Everyone had gone to bed. The house was dark and quiet except for the distant hum of my father's snoring down the hall. I locked my bedroom door, pushed my desk chair under the handle for extra security, and sat on my prayer rug. But this time, I didn't face Mecca. My hands shook as I clasped them together, not an Islamic prayer position, but the way I'd seen Christians pray in videos. Hands folded. Head bowed. Jesus, I whispered into the darkness. My voice cracked. If that was really you, if you're really there, I need more than a dream. I need to know this is real. That I'm not going crazy. That I'm not making a mistake that will cost me everything. Tears streamed down my face. They say you're not God. They say calling you that is shirk. The worst sin. Unforgivable. What if they're right? What if I'm about to betray Allah for a lie? My voice rose slightly, desperate. But if you are real, if you really love me like you said, please show me. I'll give up everything for you. My family. My home. My life. But I need to know. I need. The air in my room changed. I can't explain it any other way. It was like the atmosphere suddenly became thicker. Heavier. Charged with electricity that made the hair on my arms stand up. And then, warm. Not physical heat, but something else. Something that started in my chest and spread through my entire body like liquid gold being poured into a vessel. It flowed through my veins, my bones, every cell of my being. I felt it. Love. Not the conditional love of my family. Do this, be that, obey, conform. Not romantic love. Not even maternal love. This was something completely other. Something so pure, so intense, so overwhelming that my body couldn't contain it. I started sobbing, not sad tears, but something else. Release. Relief. Recognition. Like a child who'd been lost in the dark finally hearing their father's voice calling them home. My daughter. The voice. Oh God, the voice. It didn't come from outside me. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. It resonated in my chest, in my bones, in the deepest part of my soul. I opened my eyes, and he was there. Not a dream this time. Not my imagination. Jesus was standing in my bedroom. I know how that sounds. I know you might be thinking I'm crazy, that this is impossible, that people don't just see Jesus standing in their bedrooms in the middle of the night. But I'm telling you, he was there. The same man from my dream, but somehow even more real, more solid, more present than anything else in the room. The light coming from him wasn't like lamplight or sunlight. It was alive. It had personality, warmth, weight. He was beautiful. Not in a physical way I can describe. My mind couldn't quite hold all the details, like trying to capture the sun in a photograph. But his eyes, those eyes I could see clearly. They looked at me like I was the only person in the entire universe. Like I mattered. Like I was seen, truly, completely, utterly seen, and still loved. I fell off my prayer rug onto my face, trembling so hard my teeth chattered. "Don't be afraid," he said, and his voice was exactly as I remembered. Gentle. Strong. Home. I can't look at you," I gasped. I'm not worthy. I'm dirty. I'm broken. I've worshipped the wrong God my whole life. Look at me. It wasn't a command. It was an invitation. Slowly, shaking, I lifted my head. He had knelt down to my level. Right there on my bedroom floor, this king, this creator of the universe, was kneeling so he could look into my eyes. "Do you know how long I've been waiting for you?" he asked softly. I shook my head, unable to speak. "Before you were born, I knew you. Before your parents conceived you, I loved you. Every moment of your life, every tear, every prayer to a God who couldn't answer because he wasn't there, I was there. Waiting. Calling. Drawing you to myself. But Allah. There is no Allah," he said, and the words were gentle but absolute. Final. There is only me. I am the one true God. And I am not distant. I am not silent. I am Emmanuel, God with you. Something broke open inside me. A dam. A locked door. A wall I'd built my entire life. Why didn't you show me sooner? I sobbed. Why did you let me suffer so long? Compassion filled his face. He reached out, slowly, giving me time to pull away if I wanted, and touched my cheek. His hand was warm. Solid. Real. "Because you wouldn't have reached for me if you weren't drowning," he said softly. "Sometimes the greatest gift I can give my children is the end of their own strength. The end of their own efforts. The moment when they realize they cannot save themselves." "I can't save myself," I whispered. "I've tried everything. Prayer. Fasting. Being perfect. Nothing works. I'm still trapped. I know. But I can save you. I already have." He showed me his hands. The scars. Those terrible, beautiful scars. I died for you. Every sin. Every burden. Every chain. I carried it all to a cross and I destroyed it. And I rose again so that you could have life. Real life. Eternal life. Free life. But my family will hate you. Yes. His honesty stunned me. The wedding. I will stop it. How? Do you trust me? That question again. The same one from the dream. I looked into his eyes, those eyes full of love and power and truth, and I realized something. This was the moment. The choice. The point of no return. If I said yes, everything would change. I would lose my family, my home, my safety, my identity, everything I'd ever known. But I'd already lost myself. And he was offering to give me back, me. The real me. The one he created. The one who was never meant to be property or merchandise or a transaction. Free. Yes, I breathed. Yes, I trust you. He smiled, and that smile was worth every cost that was coming. Then this is what you're going to do, he said. Tomorrow, you're going to find a Bible. My word. You're going to read it in secret. And I'm going to teach you truth. Real truth. I'm going to show you who you are, who I am, and what freedom actually means. What about the wedding? It's in 57 days. Watch what I do, he said, echoing his words from the dream. I am about to perform a miracle that will shake your family to their foundations. Some will believe. Most won't. But you will be free. I promise you. I'm scared. I know. But perfect love casts out fear. And my love for you is perfect. He stood, and the light around him intensified. I'm going to leave now. But I am not leaving you. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. You will never be alone again. Wait, I reached for him. Don't go. Please. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a Christian. I don't know how to. You just did, he said gently. The moment you said yes to me, you became mine. The moment you trusted me, you were saved. Everything else, the learning, the growing, the transformation, that comes with time. But salvation? That's finished. Done. Complete. You are my daughter now. Forever. The light around him grew brighter, and I had to close my eyes against its intensity. Remember, his voice echoed even as it faded. When you feel like you're drowning, remember this moment. Remember my promise. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. And nothing can separate you from my love. When I opened my eyes, he was gone. But the warmth remained. That love, that impossible, overwhelming, unconditional love, still pulsed through my body like a second heartbeat. I sat there on my bedroom floor as the first rays of dawn crept through my window. And I knew with absolute certainty. Everything had changed. I wasn't Muslim anymore. I was Christian. I belonged to Jesus now. And whatever came next, persecution, loss, suffering, even death, it didn't matter. Because I'd found something worth dying for. I'd found someone worth living for. For the first time in my 17 years, I wasn't drowning anymore. Finding a Bible in a strict Muslim household is like finding pork in a halal butcher shop, impossible. Or so I thought. The morning after Jesus appeared in my room, I woke up different. I can't explain it any other way. The girl who went to sleep was not the same girl who opened her eyes to sunlight streaming through expensive curtains. I felt light. Like I'd been carrying 1,000-pound weight my entire life and someone had finally cut it loose. But I also felt terrified. Because now I had to figure out how to live this new reality in a house where my new faith could get me killed. I got dressed for breakfast, pulling on my usual modest clothes, wrapping my hijab carefully. Everything looked the same on the outside. But inside, everything had shifted. At breakfast, my father was reading the news on his tablet, my mother was serving eggs and flatbread, my siblings were arguing about something trivial. Normal. Ordinary. I looked at them and felt a wave of grief so powerful it nearly choked me. They were my family. I loved them. But they didn't know me anymore. They never really had. And when they found out who I'd become, "Why aren't you eating?" My father's voice cut through my thoughts. His eyes, those dead, empty eyes, fixed on me. "I'm not hungry, Baba. You need to eat. You're getting too thin. Rashid won't want a skeleton for a wife." My stomach turned at the mention of his name. But something was different now. The fear was still there, but underneath it, peace. A deep, unshakable peace that made no logical sense. Because Jesus had promised. Watch what I do. I forced down some food and excused myself as quickly as possible. In my room, I pulled out my phone and messaged Layla. "I need a Bible. Physical copy. Can you help?" 3 dots appeared immediately. What happened? I met him. Jesus. He's real, Layla. He's real. A long pause. Then, I know he is. Are you safe? For now. But I need his word. I need to read it. There's a Christian bookstore in the city center. Near the fountain. Tell them you're doing comparative religion research for school. Pay cash. Don't use your real name. My heart raced. Going to a Christian bookstore? If anyone saw me, if anyone reported back to my father. But I heard his voice in my memory. "Do you trust me?" "Okay. Thank you. Be careful. I'm praying for you." Praying. She was praying to Jesus for me. The thought made tears spring to my eyes. I had a sister in Christ. I wasn't alone. That afternoon, I told my mother I needed to go to the bookstore for school supplies. She barely looked up from her phone, just waved me away. My driver, yes, we had a driver, because girls from good families didn't take public transportation, dropped me at the mall. "Pick me up in 2 hours, I told him. The moment he drove away, I practically ran to the city center. My abaya billowed behind me, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. The Christian bookstore was small. Tucked between a coffee shop and a jewelry store, easy to miss if you weren't looking for it. A simple cross on the door. I stood outside for 5 minutes, frozen. This was it. The point of no return. If I walked through that door, I was committing. Choosing. I already chose, I reminded myself. Jesus appeared in my bedroom. This is just the next step. I pushed open the door. A bell chimed. The smell hit me immediately, old paper, incense, something sweet I couldn't identify. The store was empty except for an elderly man behind the counter. He looked up when I entered, and his eyes widened slightly. I must have looked terrified. "Can I help you?" he asked in Arabic, his voice kind. I'm doing research. For school. Comparative religion. I need a Bible. The lies tumbled out, rehearsed but shaky. He studied me for a long moment. Then he smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "What you need," he said softly, "is in the back corner." Arabic translation. Take your time. He knew. Somehow, he knew I wasn't there for school research. I found the Bibles, dozens of them, different sizes and translations. I grabbed a small one that could fit in my purse, paid cash using my allowance money, and he wrapped it in plain brown paper without me asking. "May the Lord bless you and keep you," he said as he handed it to me. "May his face shine upon you and give you peace." Tears blurred my vision. "Thank you." "You're not alone," he added quietly. "There are more of us than you think. Be brave, daughter." I clutched that wrapped Bible to my chest like it was oxygen, and I'd been underwater for years. Back home, I hid it in the one place I knew my mother would never look, inside the lining of my prayer mat bag. Then I locked my door, sat on my bed, and with trembling hands, unwrapped it. The cover was simple. Black. Just the word Bible in bold Arabic script. I opened it. And for the next 6 hours, I read. I started with John, like I'd done online. But having the physical pages, the weight of it in my hands, made it more real somehow. More solid. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Jesus. He was there at the beginning. Creating. Existing. God Himself. I read about His miracles. Turning water to wine. Healing the sick. Raising the dead. Calming storms with a word. I read His teachings. Love your enemies. Forgive 70 times 7. The truth will set you free. But it was the crucifixion that destroyed me. I read about how they beat Him, mocked Him, stripped Him, nailed Him to a cross. How He hung there, bleeding, suffocating, dying. For me. For my sins. My rebellion. My pride. My hate. All of it. He carried it up that hill and let them kill Him. And He could have stopped it. He had the power. He commanded legions of angels. He spoke the universe into existence. But He didn't stop it. Because He loved me more than He loved His own comfort. His own life. I wept so hard I had to stuff my face into my pillow to muffle the sounds. No one had ever loved me like that. No one had ever loved anyone like that. And then the resurrection. 3 days later, He rose. Conquered death. Defeated sin. Broke every chain. It was real. All of it. Not just stories. Not mythology. Real. The next 3 weeks were the strangest of my life. On the outside, I played the role. perfect Muslim daughter. I prayed 5 times a day where my family could see me, but in my heart, I was talking to Jesus. I wore my hijab, attended Quran study, smiled at relatives who came to discuss wedding plans. But every night, after everyone slept, I would lock myself in my bathroom, sit on the cold floor, and read my Bible by the light of my phone screen. I devoured it. Genesis to Revelation. Every word felt like water after a lifetime of thirst. And Jesus kept his promise. He taught me. Things would suddenly make sense. Connections I never saw before would light up in my mind. It was like having a teacher right there, explaining, revealing, opening my eyes. I learned about grace, that I couldn't earn salvation, that it was a gift, freely given. That shook my entire worldview. All my life, I'd been performing, earning, trying to be good enough. But Jesus said, "You'll never be good enough." That's why I had to die. Accept my righteousness, my perfection. Rest in my finished work. Rest. That word again. I learned about the Holy Spirit, that God Himself lived inside me now. That I was never alone. That I had power to resist temptation, strength to endure suffering, peace in the midst of chaos. And I learned about what was coming. Persecution. Jesus promised it. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world. I was going to lose everything. But I was going to gain Him. Fair trade. 32 days before the wedding, everything came to a head. Rashid came to visit again. This time, he brought his mother, a severe woman with hard eyes and a mouth like a razor blade. They wanted to discuss wedding details. What kind of ceremony? How many guests? Where we'd live? Where I'd live? In his house. With him. Forever. I sat there in my perfect abaya, serving tea with steady hands, and I felt nothing. No fear. No dread. Just that peace. That impossible, supernatural peace. Because I knew Jesus had promised to stop this wedding, and I believed him. "She's very quiet," Rashid's mother observed, looking at me like I was livestock. "Is she always this docile?" "Very obedient," my mother assured her. "Well trained. Well trained. Like a dog." Something shifted in me. Something bold. Reckless. "May I ask a question?" I said quietly. Everyone looked at me, surprised. Good girls didn't speak unless spoken to. "Of course," Rashid said, that oily smile spreading across his face. "What happened to your last wife?" "The one who died." The room went silent. My mother's face went white. My father's eyes narrowed dangerously. Rashid's smile didn't falter, but his eyes went cold. "Dead." "She was clumsy," he said smoothly. "Fell down the stairs. A tragic accident." "How unfortunate," I said, holding his gaze. "I'll have to be very careful on staircases." The threat was clear to everyone in the room. My father stood abruptly. "We're done here. My daughter is tired. The wedding plans are settled." After they left, my father grabbed my arm so hard I felt bones grind together. "What was that?" he hissed. Just a question, Baba. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed this family. Do you want to ruin your future? I don't have a future with him, I heard myself say. I won't marry Rashid. His hand connected with my face. Hard. Sharp. The sound cracked through the house. My mother gasped. Amina screamed. But I just stood there, tasting blood in my mouth, feeling strangely calm. You will do as you're told, my father said, his voice deadly quiet. Or I will disown you. Throw you into the street with nothing. Do you understand? Yes, Baba. But I didn't mean it. That night, I prayed differently. Jesus, he hit me. And I know worse is coming. But I trust you. You said you'd stop this wedding. I believe you. Whatever you're about to do, I'm ready. Use me. Save me. Show them your power. I fell asleep with my Bible under my pillow and that peace surrounding me like oil. 25 days before the wedding, my father made an announcement. We're having an engagement party, he said at dinner. A formal ceremony. Rashid will present you with the wedding contract. You'll sign it in front of our entire community. My heart stopped. The contract. Once signed, I would legally be his wife according to Islamic law. The wedding ceremony would just be formality. When? I whispered. This Friday night. 5 days. I had 5 days until I became Rashid's property. That night, I didn't just pray. I wept before Jesus, prostrate on my bedroom floor. You promised. You promised. What do I do? How do I? Peace. That overwhelming, supernatural peace flooded through me again. And I heard his voice, gentle but firm. Trust me. Do not be afraid. I am about to do something new. Something no one expects. And when I do, everyone will know that I am God. Friday arrived faster than I wanted. The house was transformed, flowers everywhere, caterers, musicians setting up in our courtyard. 200 guests. Everyone important in our community. All there to witness my enslavement. I was dressed in a cream-colored gown, gold jewelry dripping from my neck and wrists, makeup applied perfectly by professionals. I looked like a bride. I felt like a sacrifice. The ceremony began at sunset. I was led to a stage where Rashid waited, smiling that predator smile. The imam stood between us, holding the contract. My father stood to the side, beaming with pride. The imam began reciting Quranic verses about marriage, about obedience, about submission. My hands shook. Jesus, if you're going to do something, now would be a really good time. And now, the imam said, the bride will sign the contract, acknowledging her consent to this marriage. He held out a pen. Rashid's eyes gleamed. I took the pen. Everyone leaned forward, watching. I looked at the contract. My name. Rashid's name. Binding. Legal. Forever. And then I heard it, his voice, clear as a bell in my mind. Now. Speak now. I dropped the pen. I can't sign this, I said. My voice shook but carried across the silent courtyard. My father's face turned purple. What? I can't marry him. I won't. Chaos erupted. Gasps. Shouts. Rashid lunged forward, but my father grabbed his arm. What is the meaning of this? The imam demanded. I looked at all of them, 200 people staring at me with shock and rage and disgust. And I felt Jesus standing beside me. Invisible to them. But so real to me. I can't marry him, I said louder, because I'm not Muslim anymore. The words fell like bombs. I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus Christ. Isa al-Masih. And he is my Lord and my God. Not Allah. Not Muhammad. Jesus. Only Jesus. My mother screamed. My father's face went from purple to white. And Rashid. Rashid smiled. A terrible smile. Apostasy, he said. The punishment for apostasy is death. My father looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw something other than emptiness in his eyes. I saw hatred. Get her inside, he said quietly. Now. Two of my uncles grabbed my arms and dragged me into the house, away from the guests, into my father's study. He locked the door behind us. In his hand was my Bible. They'd found it. While I was getting ready, they'd searched my room and found it. This, he held it up, his voice shaking with rage. This is what you've chosen over your family? Over your faith? Over your life? Yes, Baba. He threw it to the ground. Then he pulled out a lighter. You will burn this book and renounce this Jesus. Right now. In front of me. Or I swear by Allah, I will kill you myself. Honor killing is legal for apostasy. No one will fault me. I looked at my Bible on the floor. Then at my father. Then at the lighter in his hand. And I thought of Jesus on the cross. Choosing to die rather than deny truth. No, I said quietly. I won't. Then burn, he said. He flicked the lighter and dropped it on my Bible. And this is where Jesus kept his promise. This is where the miracle happened. The lighter flame touched the pages. And nothing happened. The Bible didn't catch fire. My father tried again. Held the flame directly to the cover. Nothing. My uncles stared. I stared. He poured cologne on it, alcohol, highly flammable, and lit it again. The cologne burned. The air around the Bible shimmered with heat. But the Bible itself wouldn't burn. What is this? My father stumbled backward. And then the room filled with light. Not physical light. Not lamps or fire. Something else. Something that came from everywhere and nowhere, so bright we all had to shield our eyes. And a voice, not mine, not anyone in the room, but a voice that shook the walls, spoke. Touch not my anointed one. She is mine. My uncles fled. Actually ran from the room, screaming. My father fell to his knees, trembling. The light faded. But the Bible still lay there on the floor, completely untouched. Not even singed. I picked it up with shaking hands. He's real, Baba, I whispered. Jesus is real. And he just saved my life. My father looked up at me, and for the first time ever, I saw fear in his eyes. Fear of me. No, fear of the God who protected me. Get out, he whispered. Get out of my house. You're dead to me. I had lost everything. And gained everything. The miracle that saved my life destroyed my family. I stood there in my father's study, holding the Bible that wouldn't burn, and watched my entire world collapse in real time. My father, this powerful, feared man, was curled on the floor, trembling, his hands covering his face. Get out, he kept repeating. Get out, get out, get out. I heard chaos outside. Guests screaming. People running. My mother's wailing voice cutting through everything like a siren. I walked out of that study and through my house, the house I'd grown up in, with its marble floors and gold fixtures and silk curtains, and I knew I was seeing it for the last time. Amina was in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. Is it true? She whispered. What they're saying. That you follow Isa now? I nodded, unable to speak. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Why? Why would you do this to us? To yourself? Because he's real, Amina. He's the truth. And I don't. She held up her hand, backing away from me. Don't talk to me. You're not my sister anymore. My sister is dead. The words hit harder than my father's slap. I wanted to grab her, shake her, make her understand. But Jesus' words echoed in my mind. I have come to bring division. A man's enemies will be members of his own household. I walked past her, down the stairs, through the living room where guests were still gathered in clusters, whispering, staring at me with horror and disgust. My mother stood by the door. Her makeup was ruined, mascara running in black rivers down her cheeks. Mama, I started. She spat at my feet. Actually spat. You are no daughter of mine, she said, her voice cold and dead. You have brought shame on this family. Curse on this family. I wish I had never given birth to you. Something inside me shattered. You can prepare for rejection intellectually, but when your own mother, the woman who carried you for 9 months, who nursed you, who braided your hair, looks at you with pure hatred, it's a death. I walked out of my house with nothing but the clothes on my back and the Bible in my hands. The door slammed behind me. I heard the lock click. I stood on the street outside my family's mansion, the cool night air hitting my face, and I realized I was homeless, penniless, alone, and I had no idea what to do. I pulled out my phone, miraculously, they hadn't taken it yet, and called Layla with shaking fingers. She answered on the first ring. I heard, she said immediately. Word is spreading. Everyone's talking about the Bible that wouldn't burn. Are you okay? Are you safe? I'm outside my house. They kicked me out. I have nowhere. Stay where you are. I'm calling someone. Don't move. She hung up. I stood under a streetlight in my expensive engagement gown, clutching a Bible, and I started to laugh. Not happy laughter. The slightly hysterical kind that comes when reality is too absurd to process any other way. I just lost everything. My family. My home. my identity, my inheritance, my entire life. And yet, that peace, that impossible peace was still there, wrapping around me like a blanket. I will never leave you, Jesus had said. I will never forsake you. He was keeping that promise. I could feel him there, invisible but present, closer than my own breath. 20 minutes later, a car pulled up. An old sedan, not the luxury vehicles I was used to. A woman got out, maybe 50 years old, wearing simple clothes and a warm smile. "You must be the girl who follows Isa," she said in Arabic. "Get in. Quickly." "Who are you?" "A sister. That's all you need to know right now. Hurry. Your father will send people looking for you." She was right. Honor killings happened. Apostates disappeared. I'd heard the whispered stories my whole life, never thinking I'd become one of them. I got in the car. She drove fast, taking turns I didn't recognize, heading away from the wealthy district toward the older part of the city. We pulled up to a small apartment building, and she hustled me inside and up 3 flights of stairs to a tiny flat. "You'll stay here tonight," she said, locking multiple deadbolts behind us. "In the morning, we'll figure out next steps." "We?" She smiled. "There's an underground network. Secret Christians. Muslims who found Isa. We help each other survive." I started crying then. Relief. Gratitude. Overwhelming emotion. "I'm Fatima," she said, pulling me into a hug. "And you're safe now. Jesus sent me to protect you." That night, I slept on a thin mattress in a room the size of my former closet. But I slept better than I had in months. Because I was free. The next morning, Fatima explained the situation. "Your father has already contacted the religious authorities," she said grimly, showing me her phone. Social media was exploding with news of my apostasy. "He's calling for your arrest. Claiming you've been corrupted by Western influences. Some extremists are calling for your execution." My face was all over Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Photos from the engagement party. Screenshots of family pictures. People were sharing my information, calling me a traitor, a whore, a kafir. "We need to get you out of the country," Fatima said. "You can't stay here. It's not safe." "Where would I go?" "We have contacts. Safe houses in Jordan, then Lebanon, eventually Europe or America. It takes time. Documents. Money. I don't have money. I don't have anything. The church will help. We take care of our own." The church. I had a church now. A family. Not the one I was born into, but the one I was born again into. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved between safe houses. Different apartments. Different families. All secret Christians, all risking their lives to hide me. I met others like me. Converts from Islam. People who'd lost everything for Jesus and somehow found it worth it. There was Ahmed, a former imam who'd encountered Jesus in a dream and now ran a secret house church. His own sons had tried to kill him. There was Miriam, a woman who'd been honor killed by her brother. He'd stabbed her 6 times and left her for dead. But she'd survived. and now she helped other women escape. There was young Omar, only 16, whose parents had locked him in a room for 3 months, starving him, beating him, trying to force him to recant. He'd escaped through a window and never looked back. Their stories broke my heart and strengthened my faith at the same time. We weren't crazy. We weren't deceived. We'd all encountered the living Christ, and we'd all decided he was worth the cost. But the persecution was getting worse. My father hired people to find me. Private investigators. Religious police. Street informants. He offered a reward, a substantial one, for information on my location. Twice, we had to move in the middle of the night because someone had gotten too close. I couldn't go outside. Couldn't show my face. Couldn't contact my siblings or any of my old friends. I was a ghost. A fugitive in my own city. But Jesus was with me. Every day, every moment. When I was scared, His peace would flood me. When I was lonely, I'd feel His presence like arms around me. When I doubted, He'd speak truth into my heart through His word. I spent hours reading my Bible, that miracle Bible that wouldn't burn. Other believers would gather in whatever safe house I was in, and we'd worship. Quietly, carefully, with all the doors locked and curtains drawn. We'd sing Arabic worship songs to Jesus. Pray for each other. Share testimonies. Celebrate communion with store-bought pita bread and grape juice. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever experienced. This was church. This was family. This was what Jesus meant when He said, "Where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them." 3 weeks after I left my father's house, Layla called. "We have your documents," she said. "Passport. Visa. Flight tickets. You leave tomorrow night." My heart seized. Where?
We see
Germany.
you.
There's a refugee ministry there.
Are inside.
They help people like you. You'll be safe. You'll have a chance to actually live. Leave my country. My language. My culture. Everything familiar. But stay undone. The choice was clear. That last night, Ahmed gathered everyone at his house church. Maybe 20 people crammed into his small living room. They laid hands on me and prayed, for protection, for provision, for God's will in my life. "You're going to tell your story," Ahmed said, his eyes bright with tears and prophetic fire. "Thousands will hear it. Maybe millions. And many will come to know ISA because of your testimony. This is why you suffered. This is why God saved you. Not just for yourself, for them. For the ones still drowning." I wept as they prayed over me. These people, my true family, who'd risked everything to save a girl they didn't know. This was Christianity. Not religion. Not rules. Not performance. Love. Radical, sacrificial, world-changing love. The next night, Fatima drove me to the airport. We didn't speak much. What was there to say? At the departure gate, she hugged me tight. "You know you can never come back," she whispered. "If you return, they'll kill you." I know. Was it worth it? I thought about my family. My home. My old life. Everything I'd lost. Then I thought about Jesus. His face. His voice. His love. His presence that never left me. Yes, I said without hesitation. 1,000 times yes. She smiled through her tears. Then go. Live for him. Tell the world what he did. And remember, we're not saying goodbye. We'll see each other again. In his kingdom. I walked through security, through passport control, onto the plane. As we took off and I watched my city disappear below me, the city of my birth, my childhood, my former life, I pressed my hand against the window. Goodbye, I whispered. Goodbye to who I was. Goodbye to the cage. Goodbye to drowning. And then, looking forward. Hello to freedom. Hello to life. Hello to everything Jesus has for me. The plane climbed higher, breaking through clouds into clear sky, and I felt it. That same feeling from my dream. From my encounter. I'm recording this testimony from a small apartment in Berlin. It's been 2 years since that night. 2 years since I boarded a plane with nothing but a Bible and the clothes on my back. 2 years since I lost everything and gained the whole world. Let me tell you what these 2 years have looked like, because I need you to understand something crucial. Following Jesus doesn't mean your problems disappear. It means you finally have the strength to face them. When I arrived in Germany, I spoke almost no German. I had no money. No family. No support system. The refugee ministry placed me in a transition house with other asylum seekers, people fleeing war, persecution, impossible circumstances. I was the only Christian convert from Islam. The first month, I cried myself to sleep every night. Culture shock. Loneliness. Grief. Because even though I'd chosen this, even though I knew it was right, I still mourned. I mourned my mother's laugh. My sister Amina's hugs. The smell of my home. The sound of Arabic spoken by people who loved me. Those losses were real. The grief was real. But Jesus was more real. Every morning, I'd wake up in that tiny room with secondhand furniture and stained carpet, and I'd read my Bible, that miracle Bible, and his presence would fill me up again. His peace would remind me, you're not alone. You're not abandoned. You're mine. I started attending a local church. A small Arabic-speaking congregation, mostly converts like me, some Middle Eastern immigrants. They became my family. They taught me German, helped me navigate the asylum process, prayed with me, cried with me, celebrated with me. One woman, Sister Hanan, became like a mother to me. She'd converted 20 years ago, lost her entire family, and spent 2 decades building a new life in Christ. She looked at me one day and said, "The family you're born into is temporary. The family you're born again into is eternal." She was right. Through the church, I started sharing my testimony. First in small groups, then in larger meetings. Then someone recorded it and put it on YouTube. That video went viral. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of people were hearing my story. Muslims, ex-Muslims, Christians, atheists, people from all over the world reaching out, commenting, messaging me. Some messages were hateful, death threats, curses. People telling me I'd burn in hell, that I was a traitor, that they hoped I suffered. I prayed for them. Every single one. Because I understood, they were drowning just like I had been. Trapped in a system that promised peace but delivered bondage. And they were so terrified of losing control that they lashed out at anyone who found freedom. But other messages broke my heart in the most beautiful way. I'm a Muslim woman in Saudi Arabia. I've been praying to Allah my whole life and feeling nothing. Your story made me wonder if Jesus might be real. Can you tell me more? I'm an atheist, but something about your testimony moved me. The way you talk about Jesus. I've never heard anyone talk about God like that. Like he's real. Like he actually loves us. I had a dream about Jesus last night. I'm so confused. I'm scared. My family will kill me if they find out. But I need to know, is he really God? Hundreds of these messages. Then thousands. And I realized Ahmed had been right. This was why I'd suffered. Not as punishment. Not as random cruelty. But as preparation. My pain had purpose. My drowning had meaning. Because now I could reach into the water and pull others out. I started a ministry. Small at first, just me and a laptop, responding to messages, praying with people, pointing them to Jesus. But it grew. Others joined. Fellow converts who wanted to help. Christians who had a heart for Muslims. We created resources. Videos. Articles. A website where Muslims could ask questions anonymously. A network of safe houses across Europe and America for converts who needed to flee. We called it the Rescue Project. Because that's what Jesus does. He rescues. I enrolled in Bible school. Started learning theology, apologetic, ministry strategy. Not to collect degrees, but to become more effective at reaching the lost. And every day, every single day, I thanked Jesus for saving me. But I need to be honest with you about something. These 2 years haven't been easy. Freedom doesn't mean absence of pain. It means pain with purpose. I still miss my family. I check their social media sometimes. I know I shouldn't, but I do. I've watched Amina graduate from high school. Seen my little sister Fatima's birthday parties. Watched my parents age in photographs. They've completely erased me. No mentions. No photos. Like I never existed. That hurts. It hurts so much that sometimes I can barely breathe. I've struggled with depression, anxiety, PTSD from the trauma. There are nights when the fear comes back, when I wake up gasping, convinced my Father has found me, convinced I'm about to die. But Jesus meets me there. In the darkness. In the panic. In the grief. He doesn't always take the pain away. But he sits with me in it. He reminds me, I was rejected too. I was abandoned too. I understand. And I'm using this pain to make you more like me. 6 months ago, I got a message that changed everything. It was from Amina. My sister. My baby sister who'd said I was dead to her. The message was short. I can't stop thinking about the Bible that wouldn't burn. Was it real? Did that really happen? I sobbed when I read it. Shaking, gasping sobs of hope and fear and desperate love. Yes, I wrote back. It was real. Jesus is real. And he loves you, Amina. So much. She didn't respond for 2 weeks. I prayed every day, begging Jesus to protect her, to reveal himself to her, to save her. Then, I had a dream. About Isa. He was beautiful. And he told me to ask you about him. So I'm asking. Tell me everything. Do you understand what that means? My sister. My blood sister. The girl I grew up with, who I thought I'd lost forever, Jesus was calling her too. We've been talking for months now. Secretly. Carefully. She can't let our parents know. But she's reading the Bible I sent her through encrypted channels. She's asking questions. Seeking. Searching. And I believe, I know, that one day soon, she'll say yes to Jesus just like I did. Because he keeps his promises. He doesn't give up. He pursues. He rescues. He saves. Now let me talk directly to you. Yes, you. The person watching this right now. Maybe you're Muslim, and everything in you is screaming that my story is lies. That I've been deceived. That Jesus is just a prophet, not God. I get it. I felt that way too. But I'm going to ask you to do something brave. Ask him yourself. Pray to Isa and say, if you're really God, show me. I need to know the truth. He'll answer. Maybe not how you expect. Maybe not immediately. But he will answer. Because he loves you too much to leave you drowning. Maybe you're Christian, but you've never really understood what Jesus did for you. You go to church. You believe the right things. But there's no fire. No passion. No real relationship. Friend, he's not looking for religion. He's looking for relationship. He wants you to know him, really know him, the way I do. Intimately. Personally. Powerfully. Stop performing. Stop trying to earn his love. Just receive it. It's already yours. He already died for you. The work is finished. Just say yes. Maybe you're atheist or agnostic. You've written off God as fairy tales for weak people who need a crutch. I hear you. But let me ask, what if you're wrong? What if there really is a God who loves you desperately, who created you for a purpose, who's been calling your name your entire life? What do you have to lose by investigating? By reading the Bible? By praying even if you feel silly? By asking, God, if you're real, prove it to me. He will. I promise you. He did for me, and I was the most skeptical person imaginable. Maybe you're someone who's drowning right now. Maybe not in an arranged marriage, but in addiction. Or depression. Or abuse. Or hopelessness. Or the crushing weight of trying to be good enough, perfect enough, worthy enough. Listen to me carefully, you will never be good enough on your own. None of us are. That's the whole point. Jesus didn't come for people who had it all together. He came for the drowning, the desperate, the broken, the lost. He came for you. And he's reaching into your water right now, holding out his hand, those scarred hands that prove his love, and he's saying, grab hold. Trust me. Let me save you. All you have to do is say yes. It's not complicated. It's not about perfect words or correct theology. It's about surrender. Say, Jesus, I believe you're real. I believe you died for my sins and rose from the dead. I can't save myself. I need you to save me. Come into my life. Be my Lord. Be my Savior. Be my everything. That's it. That's the prayer that changes everything. If you prayed that, if you just said yes to Jesus, let me be the first to welcome you to the family. You're not alone anymore. You have brothers and sisters all over the world. You have a Father in heaven who will never leave you, never abandon you, never stop loving you. Your life just began. For real this time. And I need you to do something. Tell someone. Message me. Join a church. Find other believers. Don't try to do this alone. We need each other. Also, understand, it might cost you. It cost me everything. It might cost you friendships, family, reputation, comfort, safety. But I'm telling you, looking you in the eyes through this screen, it's worth it. Every tear, every loss, every moment of suffering. It's worth it to know Jesus, to be known by Him, to have real peace, real joy, real purpose, real life. The world will tell you to play it safe, to not rock the boat, to keep your options open. But Jesus says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. I lost my life. And I found it. Real life. Eternal life. Abundant life. The kind of life that doesn't end when your heart stops beating. The kind that echoes into eternity. I'm going to end with this. 2 years ago, I was drowning. Suffocating under the weight of religion, tradition, control, fear. I prayed to a God who couldn't hear me. I performed rituals that left me empty. I was trapped in a cage made of gold, but it was still a cage. Then Jesus reached into my water and pulled me out. He gave me air, freedom, life. And now I get to spend the rest of my existence telling people, you don't have to drown. There's a hand reaching for you. There's a Savior who already paid the price. There's a God who loves you more than you can possibly imagine. His name is Jesus. And He's calling your name right now. Will you answer? When you feel like you're drowning, remember this promise, the one He gave me, the one He's giving you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. And nothing, not death, not life, not angels, not demons, not the present, not the future, not any powers, not height, not depth, nor anything else in all creation, will be able to separate you from my love. That's not just a nice quote. That's a covenant. That's a guarantee. That's Jesus. And He's waiting for you to grab His hand. Don't wait. Tomorrow might be too late. This moment, right now, might be the only moment you have. Choose life. Choose freedom. Choose Jesus. I did. And I've never regretted it for a single second. If you need help, if you have questions, if you just prayed that prayer and you're scared and confused and excited all at once, reach out. Find me. Find a church. Find other believers. You're not alone anymore. You're family now. And we take care of our own. Jesus loves you. He's always loved you. He'll always love you. Stop drowning. Breathe.